Hello, golf fans. Welcome back to the channel. Joe here once again for the Sports Geek, bringing you a preview and my best bets for this week's PGA Tour action. We've actually got two events to get stuck into for the PGA Tour this week. In this episode, I'm going to be focusing on my two-man squad for the ISCO Championship, but I do also have an episode dropping with my four-man squad for the Scottish Open. Of course, we are only 1 week away from the final major of the season with the Open Championship taking place at Royal Birkdale. But before then, we do have two good tournaments to get stuck into, which of course bring us two good betting opportunities as well. So in this episode, as mentioned, I'm going to be focusing on the ISCO Championship, which takes place at Hurstbourne Country Club for the second season in a row. And this is a golf course which has definitely changed the complexion of this event and very much for the better. It measures at 7,056 yards as a par 70. So obviously it does pose as one of the shorter layouts on the PGA Tour, but do not let that fool you because this is not a straight birdie fest. This is very much a course management based golf course and certainly has changed the complexion of the tournament since the move. If we look at 2024, this event was actually taken place at Keene Trace and it was won with a score of 22 under par when Harry Hall won in a playoff. However, since moving to Hurstbourne last year, the winning score was just 10 under par from William Mall, which just tells you how different a test the players are going to have this week at Hurstbourne. You do need to be pretty good off the tee, but you do obviously need more than anything really is an elite attribute within the iron play. Quite small greens here at Hurstbourne. You're going to need to be finding players who are pretty good with the irons. If you're looking at the stats, you probably want to find strokes gained on approach or, greens in regulation, high numbers. But if you want to delve a little bit deeper into that, this is quite a tough course. Players are going to miss greens around this golf course. So it wouldn't be the worst idea to find a good scrambler too, because up and downs around this course will feel as good as birdies for the most part too. So it's a really good event, but with the majority of the world top players over in Scotland for the Scottish Open, that has made this a really wide open event. And the highest world ranking that we have here is actually Patrick Rodgers as world number 85. But to go with that as well, this event has allowed about 20 DP World Tour players to come over and play in the event as well. So this is a really good opportunity for the DP World Tour players or potentially a PGA Tour player who is still a maiden. This is a really good opportunity for them to sneak a PGA Tour title whilst the big names are all over in Scotland. Driving isn't something, as mentioned, that I put a massive emphasis on this week. For me, it really is just trying to find a good ball striker with the irons. This is a little bit of a tree line course, but there is still plenty of room. So I wouldn't go worrying about that too much. But if you can find the fairways with your players this week, you are definitely going to have a better chance of finding the greens in regulation because the rough around here can be quite long. So it's a really good event. Great to have the move to Hurstbourne, and hopefully the two-man squad that I have for us this week can pay dividends as well. The first selection for my squad is going to be Lucas Glover at 55 to 1. 46-year-old Lucas Glover, but he is somewhat a legend of the game of golf. And when his game clicks into place, he is more than capable of competing at this level. He is a six-time PGA Tour winner already. Lucas Glover, he's been around for a long time. But what's particularly interesting about his form is that he seems to go missing for most of the season. But when his game clicks, he is back there with a bang. And it's usually a sustained period of good form. Now, last week, headed into the John Deere, he had a miscut. He wasn't even making anything inside the top 50. But he did bounce back last week at the John Deere, finishing tied third with a score of 18 under par, just two shots back of the winner. Now, this is significant because I did do a little bit of digging. If you go back to 2023, again, he was very much out of form and then bounced back out of nowhere to finish tied fourth in the Rocket Mortgage, then finished sixth and fifth before winning back-to-back tournaments. And again, when that run ended, so did his form. Then if you go back to last season, again, very much out of form and then out of nowhere finished 13th in the Pro Tour, then finished tied third in both the Sanderson Farms Championship and the Black Desert Championship before that form disappeared once more. But then last season, No different again, popped up out of nowhere to finish third in the Players' Championship, backed it up by finish tied eighth in the Valspar, and then went on to play really well in the Open Championship, finish inside the top 25 as well. So again, like I said, he very much is a player that seems to have no form, but when it clicks, it is back for a sustained period of time. Now, coming into this event, like I said, he hadn't actually been playing very well until last week at the John Deere, where he shot 18 under par to finish tied third. Now, I think he's going to come to this golf course feeling very well within himself once more and probably put a good number together. I've highlighted obviously the main attribute that you want this week as a player that's got really good iron play. Well, that is actually Lucas Glover's bread and butter when he is in form. And it looks like he is coming to form just at the right time. So look, I think at 55 to 1, he is a little bit too big in the market considering he has found his game. And I think he is going to be a live contender this week and definitely has a chance of picking up his 7th PGA Tour title. My second and final selection for the ISCO Championship is a familiar name in my squad for those that have been watching my DP World Tour content, and that's Davis Bryant at 100 to 1. He enjoyed a fine season last year on the DP World Tour when he had half status, but he did actually qualify through Q School last season, which has given him a full tour card for this year. You will know if you've been reading my previews that I do think a lot about this player. He's a really good golfer, particularly with his irons and his wedges. And I think this is a really good, suitable course for him. He's enjoyed a good year so far on the DP World Tour. He was second in the Kenya Open. He was second in the Austrian Open. And those performances aren't just coincidence either. He's been consistently putting himself into contention. The experience is doing him really well, and he has quickly established himself this season as one of the better tee to green players on the DP World Tour. The biggest reason that I have sided with him again this week is because, as mentioned, Hurstbourne, you really do need to be a player that's good with your irons. It really does reward precision. His putting is no problem as well. And with the greens being so small and with there being such a high emphasis on quality approach play, I think this could be the time as well to keep Davis Bryant in the squad. I did think he'd be a little bit shorter than the 100 to 1 that's available, just because of how well he has been playing on the DP World Tour. There's also an angle I quite like into this week with Bryant, because although he is American, he has been spending his season in Europe playing on the DP World Tour after earning that Q School full tour card. But returning to play on the PGA Tour should be a really big occasion for him. And with so many big names absent this week, this does feel like a genuine opportunity for him to make a statement back on home soil and pick up a PGA Tour event. Now, being an American player playing in Europe, you're not going to get many opportunities to win on the PGA Tour, but this is massive for him this week. Like I said, the highest world ranking is number 85. This is a wide open event, and on his best form, he is outstanding value this week at 100 to 1. Like I said, his runner-up finishes so far this year have come at courses, two varied courses, shall I say, where your attributes need to be very much different, but he handles different sort of courses. But generally, his best part of his game is simply his iron play. Everything about Hurstbourne points towards quality iron players. Davis Bryant certainly falls into that bracket quite well, and I genuinely believe he has every chance of going well this week in America. There was no way I was leaving him out of my squad. It's only a two-man squad, but I think he's a really good attribute and asset to have for the team this week. So selection number 1 is going to be Lucas Glover at 55 to 1, and selection number 2 is the dynamite iron player Davis Bryant at 100 to 1. In fact, they're both really good iron players. That effectively is why they are in my squad this week. But hopefully we can land ourselves a nice priced winner. Of course, do gamble responsibly. Like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know who you fancy for the event. And don't forget to check out my episode as well for the Scottish Open. I'll see you all real soon. Bye for now.